There we go.
Okay, thanks. I'll call the meeting to order now that we have a quorum. It's 6:41 p.m. Brian, you're pitch hitting for Eric. Do you want to take the roll?
Okay. CJ Cullinan. Matthew Crabtree.
Here.
Melinda Ellswick.
Here.
Lauren Cooper.
Here.
Ken Chu. And Chair Parker.
Here.
And then Councilmember Wright.
Present.
All right. Welcome, Councilmember Wright. Thanks for joining us. Nice to have you here. And we'll move into public forum. I don't see anyone from the public here in person. I don't see anyone on the Teams meeting from the public. Is that right, Brian?
That's correct.
Okay. Sorry, I jumped over the approval of the minutes before that. The minutes from the December 20th meeting, is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
There's a motion from Matt Crabtree. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Lauren Cooper. All in favor of approving the minutes from the December 20th meeting, say aye.
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 It's unanimous ayes. Have it across the board. You. All right, said a moment ago, there's no one here for public forum, so that takes us to new business. There's only one item of new business that I had this month, and next month in February will be the presentation by the city attorney's office, and Sergio is here and was kind enough to join us this month. What I wanted to do was just have a discussion about topics that we'd like to hear from the city attorney's office about next month. My initial ideas were these. Number one, the process for landmark designation and what communications we are and are not permitted to have. In other words, no ex parte communications with folks who are applying for the landmark designation, and just how that process, an overview of how that process will work under the ordinance. I mean, everyone on this commission has worked on that ordinance for a long time, but I think a refresher on the procedure and what's allowed as far as communications or what's not allowed is good. I think some general refresher on CORA/open meeting, CORA being the Colorado Open Records Act, and open meetings laws and communications between commissioners about business of the commission outside of formal meetings, just at a very high level, general principles on that stuff would be good. Those were my main ideas, but I'd love to hear from everyone else what they might want to hear from the city attorney's office. And I assume it will be you, Sergio, who will be back with us next month.
It will be me.
Awesome.
I know the ex parte communication was the part that was probably the most critical, and at the last meeting was probably discussed the most. So if we can have a kind of clarification on that, if there's any other information available, and how to handle. Obviously, that would be relative to certain circumstances within the designation process and those that are specifically part of the public hearing, I would imagine. So.
Yeah, because the question, and I'm paraphrasing, the questions that were raised last month were, if someone comes to this commission and wants to seek a designation of a property as a landmark under our newly minted, newly approved process in Title 16, what, if anything, can members of the commission do to help them through that process? And my thinking, and I think others who were at the meeting last month, was that's limited since we have a quasi-judicial function in approving the application or recommending it for approval or recommending its denial for approval ultimately to council.
Right, and I think, oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, does the question we're asking or that folks were asking, does that make sense?
Yeah, so what I got is process for the landmark designation, overview of core and sunshine laws again. Would you guys mind another overview of Bob's Rules of Order?
I think that wouldn't be a bad
Sure.
idea. It certainly has not been something we've discussed frequently. I mean, I think we do a pretty good job as a commission of following that. At least we try.
I feel like the first few times we do a public hearing, it's going to be a lesson to be learned.
That is correct.
Go on.
Yeah.
And then major concern is now that moving on to kind of quasi-judicial functions, ex parte communications with property owners that want to engage the commission for advice on how to proceed.
Correct.
And I would say coupled with that, it's kind of moving further down the line, but if a property owner if they have a designated landmark and then they want to make changes to it, are we allowed to kind of, offer advice or help in that situation as well?
That is also a good question.
Well, and even on that same thread, sorry to keep the laundry list going here, but if we know of a property in the city, can we recommend to the property owner that they seek designation?
Also a good question.
Does that interfere with the any ex parte or otherwise?
Yeah.
Sorry, real fast. Don't know if this is appropriate, Bob's order, but point of order, CJ just called me.
Okay.
So I don't know if she's en route or not, but did she reach out to you at all?
I don't think so. No, but I see.
Okay.
Can I interject something?
Sure.
Joe Anderson, council member, is going to be having a town hall regarding all the new changes to Title 16. Maybe someone from this commission could get with him and see if they could do a presentation regarding historical destination and the rules and stuff like that, so you could get the word out to this with people during his town hall, since that's what he's covering.
It's a great idea.
I don't know if this will be part of it, so.
Do you know when that is?
I don't recall what date he said. He mentioned it last night during council member's choice. So if someone wants to look at the extremely long meeting last night at the end, they're welcome to, but it may be worth, seeing if someone from this commission could I can't even talk right now, represent this group regarding this part of Title 16.
That'd be good. And Chair Parker, CJ has responded saying she's running late at Dartmouth. We'll be here shortly.
No, that's good. Once we got quorum, I just wanted to start because I didn't know who else might be coming. So, any other topics for the city attorney's office for next month? Any others you want to suggest for us? I like the Bob's Rules of Order.
I mean, the rules of order, Cora, sunshine law, or open meetings law, those are the big ones we get called on to kind of give boards refreshers on. So it's not unheard of to just get kind of a refresher on that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the whole quasi judicial stuff that you guys are being empowered with. That's good.
Yeah, and we can block out and we can talk separately if you want between now and next month. And the agenda comes out about how much time you think you might need, because
Another one, sorry
go
to cut
ahead.
you off
You're good.
before I lose my train of thought, is finding of facts.
yes.
Now that would be part of the function.
Yeah, that would be good. So I was just gonna say, I don't know, I mean, things emerge between meetings as far as the agenda. I don't know of any big agenda items next month, so I think you can probably have whatever time you need to go through that. But we can, like I said, we can talk before I send the agenda.
I mean, just a rough guesstimate. I mean, we're not gonna be here till midnight talking about this. I mean, we could, but we're not.
It's not legally allowed. 2 hours.
I mean, an hour, honestly.
Sure.
A lot of this stuff is just kind of straight to the fact. It is what it is.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you for putting that together and doing that for us. And we'll look forward to that presentation next month, because hopefully soon we'll get an application for landmark designation. So it would be timely.
The only thing I can think of that might change the timing is if we get a board appointment, a new appointment, we don't want to give the training, have to give a training the following month for a new member. So I know there's interviews scheduled
22nd,
soon.
23rd.
Yeah.
So if we get an appointment that can start at that point, we'll go ahead and we'll try to give the training. If not, it may get pushed to March, just so we have to give the training.
Sure,
Brian's right
If
about
that's-
that.
yeah.
We should just give the training one time if we get a new appointee. Thanks.
Yeah, if we do, if we don't, I think we can try to push for February, but just a heads up on that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I completely agree with that. We'll get to it in old business, because there's an old business item about the vacancies issue, but thank you for that note, and yeah, I'm sure it'll be captivating. I don't necessarily need to hear it twice, and I'm sure probably everyone else agrees with that, and so you don't want to do it twice, so we'll wait if we have to, if we get an appointment. Makes perfect sense, so, okay. Any other thoughts before we leave that item? Okay. Hearing none, that takes us to old business. And Brian, I don't know, I didn't get a chance to ask Eric before he left, whether he linked up with you about the revisions to the landmark designation letter. Communications had put something together about that process. We redlined it as a commission last month, and Eric was gonna run it, I think, by communications and the city attorney's office, and that's why this item is on here, if you have any updates about that.
Our department, like Brad and myself, have not reviewed it. I know Sergio did. There was one minor revision to it so far, and that was to remove, and I don't want to put you on the spot here,
Yeah,
Sergio. And it was to remove the section that y'all had included about the benefits.
Yeah, and I don't have it in front of me, and so I'm not remembering exactly what
I can pull it up.
came out.
Yes, what Brian is saying is correct. It did come to me. I did respond to Eric. Did you get that? Did I respond all?
I haven't.
So yeah, I think that was the only substantive change, was the portion about you may receive these benefits by. Our office did suggest just removing that, as to not kind of seem as we're trying to entice people to do something.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there, just because I think that's a really important idea to include, is that like, this doesn't just, come with nothing. There are benefits to it. Like, is there a way we could try to reword that and to make it not seem so enticing? Or is it just leave it out and?
Okay, so yeah, we were fine with all the red lines except that one provision of benefits. Benefits of receiving landmark designation include, is to avoid the solicitation and to avoid situations in where someone would think that by doing A, they necessarily would get B.
Okay.
Real fast here for the benefit, CJ was really involved with a lot of the wording of the letter last week.
Oh,
Don't want to have to recap everything.
No, we just started this discussion
Right.
too, so you
Yeah.
came.
CJ's late, and CJ has a right,
late.
so for the records.
So, I'll paraphrase, you tell me if I got it wrong for CJ's benefit. So what Sergio was saying was the city attorney's office was generally fine with all the changes we made to that letter to send out to people about the landmark designation, except the part about the benefits, because, and I'll just let you say it so that I don't take your words or say it the wrong way.
Yeah, in order to avoid the appearance of solicitation and to avoid a situation where someone thinks that they're gonna, by doing A, they necessarily get B.
So, yeah, and Brian was saying that their department hadn't looked at it, which makes sense that it went to you first in the city attorney's office, but and I guess it probably hasn't been back to communications either for their thoughts since it.
Not that I'm aware of, so we can take care of that between now and next month.
I understand the legal point about the benefits issue. I mean, I also understand practically why we wanted it in there because it's,
We wanted to encourage them.
Sure, but I get why that might not be workable to do that.
I just come from, like, I know there's a lot of myths about historic preservation and it gets a bad rap. And so I'm trying to, if someone gets this letter and they have those in their mind, just a way to dispel those myths. So I don't know if maybe there's another way we can do it without just explicitly saying these are benefits.
Yeah, that I don't know. Is this the version as we revised it?
Yes,
Okay,
with that section removed.
with that section removed.
Seems we might be missing a period. This is there, but- And the historic landmark designation.
Linda, are you able to see this? I'm having trouble showing it. On both.
No, I'm not able.
Okay. Let me see if I can figure this out.
No, I'm sorry, Melinda. He's trying to figure out how to share it.
I think I know one of the benefits we had listed was just recognition, because that is even, listing in the National Register is purely recognition. So maybe is there a way we could incorporate that idea back into it?
Now I can see it.
Yay, thank you.
Okay, now everybody can see it. All right.
Okay. Sorry, Lauren, I was distracted by the screen. What did I want to make sure I heard what you said.
I think if I remember right, one of the benefits we had listed was like recognition of your property as historic. Is there a way we can include something like that, put that back in? Not calling it a benefit, but just say your property will then be recognized, as a historic property by, I don't know.
As a historic landmark.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that necessarily wouldn't be an issue because by doing the application, that would happen, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I suppose thinking down that thought process, then we need to come up with things that follow that same thread of what will happen, context, once it's designated, right? So for instance, your property will be recognized as historic. What other things, without offering a warranty or, as you called it, the solicitation of whatever warranty would be provided potentially if worded incorrectly, what other things could we include in there?
I think we would still have to qualify it with an if, because it would come to the board would decide, and then it would go to council, and council would have the ultimate call.
Sure.
So we'd have to kind of qualify, if approved by the process, then your property could be recognized.
What kind of information do they have to provide?
2-page application.
Okay.
Historic information about the house, like a basic description, photographs, a map.
Age alone isn't necessarily a qualifier, but that is a factor. And essentially, they have to explain in the application process why is this a historically significant structure and worthy of this
Not
designation.
because I said so.
Yeah, exactly. Or simply because it's X years old,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not gonna look weird like that historical preservation webpage app, is it?
It will,
No.
just because the formatting is for
Well, put spaces after the colon. That just looks silly. You put spaces after the colon.
There you go.
Did something get cut off too? Because that sentence right above the QR code, if
Yeah,
interested
just
property
needs it.
owners are able to apply for landmark status,
At,
and then it just cuts off, like where status is underlined at the very top of the screen.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're talking about.
It appears that there might be something there on completed
let me go back to the red line version. Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Swap. Yeah,
if you're doing it without these many eyes looking at you, it's always faster, isn't it? Make the dispel here.
It's true.
Something there. Oh, my God.
Brian's all over it though.
Yeah.
Michelle, can you see this one too? Melinda, sorry, I don't know why I haven't. Michelle's one of my planning and zoning commission members, so.
Starts with an N.
Yeah, the original one that I had,
So I
that
think-
section was struck out.
So I think there's supposed to be a period in that status where the cursor is sitting.
Yeah.
Struck out that other piece, yeah.
A period after the first paragraph there. Looks like after landmark designation.
And then remove this portion.
Contribution to the preservation. So we can't put anything in about taxes, huh?
I would recommend not to.
We can do number 2 and number 3.
If we put an if in front of it. If, like, for instance, if.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
it still
well,
contributes to the preservation of everyone's community.
a successful application will receive public recognition and contribute to the preservation of Englewood community character, something to that degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because someone applies doesn't mean that they're necessarily gonna get approved.
Right, so if accepted.
But we're saying that these that we're sending the letter to would probably.
Would be
Accept
eligible,
it.
Would
but
be
but
eligible.
depending upon the circumstances, yeah.
But
But-
nothing can be promised about whether the designation will be successful or not.
Right.
It's saying you may be eligible for one.
I understand the benefit of saying, you know, if approved or if granted, benefits of receiving landmark, although that is almost implied in the statement here too, because benefits of receiving the landmark designation may include, so that means once you receive it, and the only way to receive it would be,
Well, so I think in any event, because it hasn't gone through building and planning and it hasn't been back to communications, it sounds like we're gonna have to look at it again.
Sure.
Next month. So it's hard to do these things on the fly. I hate to give you more work to do, Sergio, I'm sure you're busy, but I think you probably have a flavor of what we wanna do. Could you give us a proposal next month that for that language on that piece with the ifs and the qualifiers and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I can take a look at that.
Yeah,
Who did the survey?
it was this,
Grouping pin.
Opinion environmental.
that's what Lauren was off the record before the meeting mentioning about the grant that the city received. So it was paid for by a grant from, where did the grant come from?
The state historical fund.
Right.
Or did they just drive around the city, or did they look at a map of who was built, what was built when, or, I mean,
Some of all of the above, I think.
to throw
And
darts?
well, and then what this commission did after that survey was, and it was Eric Sampson's idea, it was a good idea. There were 120 potentially historically significant properties, roughly, that's I'm going off my memory here, that were identified by opinion in that survey. And we broke it up amongst ourselves on the commission and went and did a deeper dive on, each person did a deeper dive on like 10 or a dozen or 20 properties or something like that to look at what Pinion did, and then actually either through internet research or going out and driving by, is this actually historically significant? Because for instance, I had several that were in my batch that I looked at that were, they were industrial sites. Something had caught Pinion's attention because of their age, but they weren't historically significant buildings. And so
Industrial sites can definitely be historic.
they definitely, I'm not saying they can't be, they definitely can be. These were not, because the information Pinion had used, these buildings were not of the age that they said they were in the report.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like we ran.
Or they were
into
dirt
the-
lots or things of that nature. I'm not suggesting industrial sites can't be historic. That was not my point. I'm saying that
A good catch.
the ones that I reviewed, there were about, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them that were definitely had no historic value whatsoever. So, because Pinion was at a very high level trying to do the whole city in a limited
And
amount of
y'all
time.
drill down.
Exactly, and so I forget what we winnowed it down to after that research out of the 120 or so that we started with.
Know if we ever got a number.
I don't know if we got a number.
Yeah, I guess Eric probably has that information, but less than 120.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think, my recollection was that, my experience was the same as everyone else, is that there were a number of properties in their batch that Pinion identified that weren't historically significant.
There was also included in the report some historic information about different development cycles that occurred in the city, you know, and kind of, well, it built, you know, this many homes built at this time, this many homes built at this time, this many homes built, and then, you know, what's remaining from that. It's actually a really fascinating report. Brian, would it be possible to send Councilmember Wright a copy of the report?
Of the opinion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was interesting. The narrative section about the development stages was interesting, and how it was just a good overview of how the city developed. So anyway, I think if going back to the letter, Sergio, if you want to make those changes on that section, because I think the rest of it we're pretty much there, because it sounds like you're okay with the rest of what we did to it, or your offices, and if you want to bring that back next month, I think we can look at it again, and then if it's been looked at by communications and building and planning, then we can, I suppose we'll have to approve it, size format, or approve your revisions to it, and we can go from there. Does that sound like the right approach?
I can suggest a version 3 and send it to Eric once he comes back.
Yeah, you can just copy me as well in case.
Copy,
He's not back yet.
copy community development, and we can suggest a version 3 for the board to consider.
Perfect.
So will it go through communications too, before us? Okay, good.
So in other words, the idea, CJ, I don't think we can finalize it this month, even if we wanted
no,
to. So
I'm
we
with
could,
you.
we should be able to finalize it next month, I think. Fingers crossed.
And when is Councilmember Anderson's presentation?
I don't remember when he said. I'll go look.
Presentation.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's doing a town hall meeting on Title 16.
Oh, good.
I'll look and see if it said when. I think
The
he said
last
he
thing
was
I
just-
saw, they're trying to work out the date with the
That's
venue,
what I thought,
but I know it's towards the end of February.
which may work because having a special person. And I'll go back and look at the end of the meeting to see.
And I'd have to look at the calendar, and February is weird because it's a short month, but it sounds like that might be after our next meeting potentially,
Sounds like
which
it.
would be
Which would be ideal, if we
helpful.
can present this information at that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And we also need to decide if we, who should be so designated as to attend if we're welcome.
Yeah, Joe Anderson will have us.
Sure he will, I'm sure he will.
But no, that's a great idea, because it's one of the reasons that we're going through this process to get the word out is it was not an aspect of Title 16 that received a lot of
Well,
publicity.
he said all the changes in Code Next.
This is
It
one of them.
appears the word changes, so I think that's
Mhm.
opened the door. Am I correct? That's what he said? I mean,
I wasn't there.
oh, don't back up on this one. I'm pretty sure
All
that's
right,
what
it's
he
on the
said.
record.
We'll trust you.
Yeah, no, so thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Looks like Melinda has her hand up.
Oh, yeah, Melinda, sorry, I didn't see that, or can't see that on the screen. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's been raised for quite a while.
Sorry about that. It's not showing on the screen in here.
Yeah,
so we have the
it
screen
won't let me
share.
show
Okay.
camera and the document at the same
Well,
time.
I did have a comment, an idea. On the benefits pieces, what if that was on the application itself as kind of a footnote, not on this letter?
Well, because I'm thinking they may not even go to the application if this letter doesn't convince them to try it. That's me.
I mean, to that point, however, it's good to have that information.
Well, have it duplicated. I mean,
Sure.
I think it's a great idea.
Or have it on our website,
Mhm.
so when they go to see the application, they can see the benefits.
Or if it's just reinforced multiple times, they're seeing it, and that gets them to it.
Because unfortunately, it does cost some money.
Yeah.
And we haven't mentioned that in the letter.
Oh, that it costs them to apply?
Unfortunately, yeah, there's a standard fee structure set forth by the city that has to follow based upon the time, and then also there's a plaque that they would receive.
You don't think you think it's too early to mention that what this stuff is?
Brian, for the record, on CJ's point, what is the fee structure associated? What was the agreed upon amount?
Oh,
Do you recall?
You'll have to give me a few minutes to see.
No, that's
if I
fine,
can find
that's
it.
fine. I'm kind of pulling that out.
Because I'm thinking it's over 150.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was not determined by us, if you remember.
Right, it was not determined by. And I'll also be making the first few plaques, so
I say go for a dozen. Just do it.
I'll reiterate that I have offered my services to make the first few plaques. I don't want to be making these in 10 years. We need a diversity of our supply chain.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to be saddled with that responsibility.
Yeah, I'm happy to make the first few, and of course we do need to look at the cost of materials to do that, and obviously I won't be charging for my time to do that, but I would ask for the materials to be reimbursed.
Yeah.
Next meeting we'll bring in the plaque for benefit of Councilmember Wright.
Yeah.
The prototype.
Yeah, I'd like to see your woodworking skills.
Yeah.
It's actually bronze.
It's
Phosphorus bronze.
Ah.
pretty neat. Are there any other points about the landmark letter before we move to the next item? Melinda, did you have anything else?
No, that was it.
Thank you.
We have a guest at the
The
meeting.
cat has comments, but they're not related.
We're past public forum, it's too late.
Yeah.
That leads to a topic that Brian touched on earlier, which is the vacancies and new member appointments. And Brian, you kind of already alluded to this. It sounds like there's interviews and all of that that's about to happen at the end of this month or next month. Could you just fill us in a little bit about that?
22nd.
Okay.
That's all I know at this point is when the interviews are scheduled. I don't know
Okay.
how many people have applied for what board or what commission.
I could help
So
with
the
that.
deadline's
Yeah.
already done, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Councilmember Wright, if you want to tell us
Mhm.
about that.
Yes, so please call me Cameron here. We are doing interviews the 22nd, starting at 5. We will interview until 9 p.m. The 23rd, we will start interviews at 6, and I believe we only have a few, and we will be making decisions on the 23rd. So, the people that are chosen would start the meetings, I believe, the following meeting that takes place, or actually, they would be sworn in or whatever's done the following council meeting, I
Right.
believe. And then they would start attending, the next board or commission meeting, so.
Yeah, that's great. We have one vacancy on this commission.
And do you have alternates at all that you put in play?
We have not done that, at least while I've been around. I don't know if before me, you all had ever done that.
No.
We have been requesting youth members for some time.
Yeah.
And is that something that, well, and they do youth interview and stuff at different times.
Yeah, no, I know.
And they just did that not long ago for youth advisory boards, but I don't know.
Yeah, because we have a provision for a youth member that can be, I think, a fully voting member of this commission, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be wonderful to have a full board and also have, opportunity for youth membership. I mean, they do say that statistically that the younger generation is more interested in history than
You must, huh?
Well, at the Inglewood Block Party, there was a tent.
Yeah.
And I believe Doug Cohen, Ida Nickel, a few other, at the Inglewood,
Historic Society.
Historic,
What do we
and
call
it was
Historic
unbelievable.
historic Inglewood, yeah.
It was unbelievable how many young people, oh, we love history. Oh, tell us about that tent, which was at the northern end of everything going on, which was the slower end of what was going on at the block party, was consistently busy all the time. So it was encouraging, and I think, bless you, correct. People enjoyed the history.
So with interviews being the 22nd and 23rd, I assume we're past the deadline for applications.
Yes, application's been closed. And I do not have it with me. I cannot say how many people have applied. There's a large applicant pool for almost everything. I don't know if you have access to how many people applied for what. I don't know how many people applied for this commission. But overall, there was a lot of people applied.
Good.
In
That's good to
general.
hear.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
Yeah, and well, these folks all started before me, but I've been around for a while too. And it was like we were talking about off the record, it was a new commission. We went through a lot of formative work, which was interesting to be in on the ground floor, but maybe as an enticement for members now, we actually have a process in place and we passed the ordinance that gave us the power to actually do something. And so maybe that might be of interest to folks with this commission, because I know sometimes with that process that not everyone can have the commission or board that they apply for. And so sometimes there's candidates that are good that you want to put elsewhere. And maybe someone who didn't necessarily think about or know about this commission, that there's an opportunity for
Right.
someone to interest them in this and send them
Right.
our way.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that'll be nice. I guess it's been a while since we've had a full roster, so that would be great. That'd be great. Sounds like we could potentially, so that's good.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah. Unless there's any other questions or discussion points about vacancies and appointments, the next item, last item of old business, is that revision request on Hampden Hills. I just put this back on here because, and Brian, I don't know whether you visited with Eric about this before he left. We passed, I think 2 months ago or 3 months ago, at the request of someone in Hampden Hills, we passed a recommendation to council to revise the boundary by about a block, I think, on that neighborhood, which it was going to go to council last month. It couldn't for, I think, reasons of the length of the agenda, and just wondering what the status is, if that made it to council or if it's slated to.
It hasn't. I have it on the schedule for February 19th.
Okay.
Before I came in.
Great, yeah. So we talked a little off the record about the neighborhood map too, and yeah, this was someone in that neighborhood took a particular interest in it and asked us to make a revision, which
I've heard all about it.
Okay, well, great. Well, we recommend that you vote in favor of it when it's on the agenda. Good, thanks, Brian, for that update. That brings us to staff's choice. Brian, did you have anything?
I have nothing tonight, sir.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner's choice, I'll just start. Thank you, Councilmember Wright, for joining us. Welcome to our commission, and we hope to see you at all of our future meetings, and thanks for your input tonight already, very helpful. Also, I've said this before, always an open invitation. We didn't have a lot of business this month. The agendas, I have to put them out, I have to give them to Eric about a week. Those who've been chair or vice chair know this too. I have to give them to Eric about a week before they go out, before they're circulated. So you're always welcome to contact. I think probably Eric is the best way to do it, so we're not having an ex parte communication about business of the commission, but you're always welcome to contact Eric if you have items you want to see on the agenda. I'm always happy to entertain those because I don't always know. I definitely don't always know everything that's going on that you all know about, so I welcome those for sure. That's all I have for Commissioner's choice. I'll just go around
the table, starting with, want me to start over here? Okay. Lauren?
I don't have anything.
Matt Crabtree.
Sure. Well, first of all, Councilmember Wright, thank you for coming. It's been a while since we've had a council member liaison present at our meetings, so we appreciate it and we appreciate the input. Second to that, Historic Inglewood will be having a historic lecture, not actually this month, we're actually postponing, and CJ, he'll.
Yes, Lindsay sent me something yesterday.
Good. Okay. We're setting up for, and CJ will probably go into more detail on this, but we've got a couple cool presentations coming up. So next month, we'll be having a lecture. And actually, I'll probably just hand this over to you, and I'll let you explain it because it's all about Arapahoe Acres.
So it's about mid-century modern.
Do you want to go now? I left
Go
you to
ahead.
last.
Go
If you want to
for
be
it.
on the spot.
Where things were on the speaking, so that's great. Well, because I wanted you to also talk about the museum.
Oh, yeah, well, music, absolutely. Well, I mean,
I was thinking that might be one of the reasons for the delay.
So your commissioner's choice is basically CJ's commissioner's choice.
but you know, hey, I appreciate the help here. It's yes, no, the museum's moving right along. We're moving in the archives and getting all that organized, and we're really going full gear here, and we'll you know, we've got a couple months here to get the first exhibit open, and we're kind of keeping the first exhibit a little close at hand, but it'll be a fun one. It'll certainly be relevant to this building. So, but
Oh, I'm not supposed to be saying it.
oh, you totally can. You can. But we're working on all the details to get that open and that going. So it's great. We appreciate the opportunity for the city to be able to have that space, use that space, and the partnership. You know, that goes along with it. It's moving right along. So, and while I'm blabbering on here, I will tell you the information about the lecture. It's a lecture, February 27th. And I'll read you a little bit from the newsletter here. During the 1950s, the Denver area was growing at 4 times the national average at a time when the population was moving nationwide, representing a growing housing challenge upon which home builders, architects, and developers took great opportunity to explore new ways of building homes. Their exploration didn't stop with just working at the mechanics of mass production. They're also ambitiously looking at ways to make a better product. Homes people would buy not just to put a roof over their head, but because they felt it would make their lives better. We call it mid-century modern today. It's a culmination of the exploration, interesting solutions to housing that led to homes like nothing that had ever been built before. So we will, so I won't bore you with all the details on that. You can come to the lecture to hear about it. It'll be presented by a real estate specialist and Doko Omo, U.S. Colorado Board Vice President Adam Stevens. And that'll be 2:30 p.m. at the Inglewood Public Library. That's our afternoon presentation at 6:30 p.m. Table Public House at 2190 South Platte River Drive.
And then I get
Thank
to
you.
do the March one specifically about Arapahoe Acres. So that's pretty exciting. And this is CJ talking just because why not?
Yes, was that all of your commission?
Yes, that's everything I have.
Now we'll formally.
This is a
turn.
partnership here, CJ. A shared.
Go ahead, CJ.
So that again, to reinforce that this is our 75th anniversary for Arapahoe Acres and that we're really looking to get logos out there, working with businesses as well as having events of tours, a garden tours, walking tours, different things to introduce Arapahoe Acres. It's one of those things that's so frustrating that I can't invite, you know, like all the council or all the board at one time because of this thing, right?
Sunshine law.
Where they're not allowed
Open
to
meetings law.
stand by each other
Open
and
meeting
stuff.
law?
Yeah. So can I do anything to invite city members? I mean, at least employees I could invite, right?
We'll have a training at the next session about the open meetings laws, but essentially, if 2 or more members get together, they cannot discuss business. So historic preservation business cannot be discussed by 2 or more members without violating open meetings laws.
So if I take them just on a historic tour of
So
Arapahoe
if you and
Acres,
Matt get together, that's fine, but if someone else gets together, you cannot discuss business, without, it being an official meeting. A chance encounter, like you guys all go to the same lecture,
no, I wanted to invite, like the city council, I wanted to invite, you know,
open meetings laws don't prohibit social gatherings, but they can't be official social gatherings because then it become a meeting that needs to be open to the public for the public to be able to come in and.
Okay.
So yeah, so chance social encounters, everyone goes to the same lecture. It's fine, you guys can talk, but you cannot talk about business.
DJ, thought for all the festivities at Arapahoe Acres, what about having some landmark applications there for the homeowners?
well, because we were gonna go in as a historic district.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, and
Great.
so, of course, guess what? Nobody wants to run forward with that, but they totally support what we need to do.
Isn't that where 60% have to, because it used to be what, 75% and it's 60% now?
That was it, 60.
It was.
Anyway, something like that.
It landed on 60%, yeah. We had some recommendations that went back and forth between those commissions and council.
And then in Arapahoe Acres is 124 homes.
Oh, have fun with that.
So just getting the signature.
It's 124. Anything else, CJ?
No.
Okay. Melinda?
Nothing, the cat doesn't either. Just, welcome Councilmember Wright, and congratulations to Historic Englewood on finally getting a space. So, and that's all from me.
Yay.
Great. Great, well, thank you, thanks everyone. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, so we'll stand in adjournment at 7:28 PM.
Amazing.
So there's a reason why I never. Lawyer. Bless you.